Today, on the Eurostep,
Conference finals gone mad.
Colin Cowherd should have been aborted.
#vote yes. And we discuss the All-NBA team selections. Hi, I'm Oisin Brown and this is the Eurostep on CRC. Today I'm joined by Cillian Loftus and Alex Evans.
This video will get as many views as the 2K League this week.
Fun fact of the day. Thanks for that, Alex.
The more you know.
We have a lot to talk about on this episode, so we will start with the conference finals. Somewhat surprisingly, the Houston Rockets have gone 3-2 up in this series. We'll start with Game 4, where they defeated the Warriors by 3 points in the Oracle Arena. I will start with you, Cillian.
Yeah, they won 95-92 in Game 4, as you mentioned, by 3 points. You know, close game, just like Game 5, as we'll talk about later. James Harden did his thing, 30 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. He's shot poorly from the three-point line, you know, which has kind of been a trend towards the end of this series, but overall great game for the Houston Rockets. They didn't shoot well at all. Neither team did. 39% from the field, 32% from 3 for the Houston Rockets. Similar numbers for the Golden State Warriors at 39% and 33% from the field and from 3 respectively. You know, it was really just 2 stars of Houston who stepped up and got them the win. In James Harden and Chris Paul, as I mentioned, he had 30 points, Chris Paul had 27. It was a great game for the Houston Rockets. It, on paper, looks like the Warriors might have been able to get the win, but you know, Curry had his 28, Durant had 27, Draymond Green did his thing with a Rondo triple-double, 11 points, 13 rebounds and 8 assists. It was Klay Thompson who didn't really step up to the plate in Game 4. He had only 10 points. You know, the rest of the bench, you know, you can't expect too much. It was a close one for the Houston Rockets. They'll be very happy with that win, I'm sure, moving into Game 5.
Yeah, I think you just have to look at this. The Warriors absolutely choked this one away. This was theirs for the taking. They were outscored in the fourth quarter 25-12. You can't tell me that the Golden State Warriors are going to put up 12 points in a quarter in a game where they would have gone up 3-1 in the series against the Rockets and pretty much put the series to bed. Coming off a 41-point win and then a 34-point third quarter, I think they were just kind of sitting back, relaxing, thinking that it was theirs to be won. But to only put up 12 points is just, I just can't get my head around that. They were sloppy down the stretch and throughout the whole game, really, with 16 turnovers. You just can't give the Rockets that many
extra possessions.
That's the one I was looking for. They will hurt you off those. You gotta be tight defensively and just mind the ball and be effective with it going forward, but they just obviously weren't with 12 points in the fourth quarter.
Do you think maybe a bit of cockiness or arrogance is sliding into this Warriors team and that's why they've lost the game?
You know, they're a pretty confident team. We see it with all the guys. We know Curry's a very self-confident guy. I'm sure all the other guys as well. They're all-stars. You know, some Hall of Famers in there as well. That could definitely be a factor. You know, they were up pretty big. They won the third quarter 34-17, which, you know, they were up about 10 points heading into the fourth quarter looking at this. So, you know, they could have maybe thought that this game was in the bag and, you know, kind of let the foot off the pedal. And we know when these Rockets get going, they're very tough to start. They're very tough to stop even. It could definitely be a factor into why they choked this game away and tied the series up at 2-2.
Yeah, I think once they got on the roll, as you said, the fourth quarter. But you've got to look at the other side of the ball for the Rockets as well. They played great defense in the fourth quarter, limiting the amount of opportunities that the Warriors had. Even if you just take a look at the box score, PJ Tucker with 2 steals and a block, James Harden 3 steals and 2 blocks from James Harden is just phenomenal. Chris Paul with a steal, Trevor Ariza with a block and a block and a steal, Clint Capella with 2 blocks, you know, Eric Gordon with a block and J.L. Green with another 2 blocks. Just blocks and steals coming from everywhere. Taking the ball off the Warriors and getting going in transition where they can really hurt them.
Yeah, so moving on to last night's game, the Rockets won again, this time at home. They won this one by 4 points, 98-94, despite James Harden's maybe statistical off night anyway. He only scored 19 points. He had 3 rebounds and 4 assists as well in the game. But the Rockets still managed to pull it out, Alex.
Yeah, James Harden, as Cillian said, continues his trend of not shooting well from beyond the arc. 0 for 11 from downtown from James Harden. Just, yeah, the Oisin's face kind of dropped there, you wouldn't have seen. But, yeah, taking these step-back jumpers, they weren't falling, nothing different. They just weren't falling on the night for James Harden. But it goes to show the strength of the team around him. The other guys can step up. Chris Paul was phenomenal in the late third and fourth quarter especially, nailing difficult shots. Then hitting Steph Curry with a little shimmy shake on the way back. Curry could only laugh at. But the Rockets seem to have a bit of momentum under their feet now. That's 2 kind of comeback wins they've had in a row against the Warriors. Chris Paul went down with his hamstring late in the game. They still managed to pull it out without him. He says he'll be okay for Game 6, but he's a key player. And speaking of key player, I think it just goes to show the importance of Andre Iguodala on the Warriors side of the ball. Just someone that can kind of control the pace, control the game, whatever. It's not the same starting Kevon Looney as starting that Hamptons 5 with Iguodala in there. He's experienced, he's been there before, he's a finals MVP for a reason. And I think it goes to show how undervalued and underappreciated he can be.
Yeah, overall, extremely close game. You're looking at the quarterly splits. There was no team won a quarter by more than 6 points. Close game all the way through. The Rockets managed to pull it out by 4 points. I asserted it mainly to the play of Eric Gordon. Really stepped up with 24 points, even if he wasn't that efficient, with only 40% from the field, 30% for 3, but still 24 points is good on any given night.
He did it when it mattered. He hit the big 3 down the stretch with no
Exactly.
Chris Paul off the assist from James Harden. He hit the 3 to put them ahead.
Yeah, the Rockets were, brilliant as always. Even though they shot a lot worse than the Warriors, they shot 7% left from the field and 8% less from 3. You can definitely point it again towards their defense. They've shown that, last year they weren't great. They've really turned into an elite defense this year. They forced 16 turnovers out of the Golden State Warriors, 10 steals, 3 blocks against them as well. This Rockets team is a very good defensively with guys. Chris Paul's great. Clint Capella is one of the best rim protectors in the league. And Trevor Ariza, PJ Tucker aren't too bad themselves. Again, defense of the Rockets pull this one out. When you hold the Warriors to 94 points, you're going to have a very good chance of beating them.
Speaking of defense, when we came into this series, I don't think we were expecting after Game 5 to be talking about how defense won games. I think we expected, I suppose, optimistically anyway, we were hoping maybe 140 to 130 something wins for
all-star numbers.
Whoever. Just crazy numbers. We weren't expecting too much defensively. But the games haven't been all that high scoring. I think that's
except for when the Golden State Warriors won by 41 points, but we'll just overlook that for
just
the
ignore
moment.
that one.
Yeah, but even just we look at these last 2 games, the combined margin of victory was 7, and neither team scored 100 in either game. So you can't say that the defense hasn't been very good, considering we never really expected it. Well, at least from the Rockets anyway. But whatever about the Warriors.
It's how they say it. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. As, wonky as that statement might be, it has some legitimacy to it. The Rockets play great down the stretch. I know Alex was ranting a lot about Kevin Durant before we started filming this. Shot only 36%
Don't get me
from
started
the field.
as well. Kevin Durant. I just...
Can't even score on a midget.
I'll say it quickly. Yeah, he was on Chris Paul. 7 foot Kevin Durant, 6 foot Chris Paul, and just can't score. Got the ball taken away. I don't care who you are. You're 7 foot. You're scoring on a 6 foot. It doesn't matter who is who. You should be scoring there. But Kevin Durant was not impressed with him at all last night. Watching the game, whatever about his numbers, put up 29 points, 36% and 50% from 3. They're, average numbers at best. 36 isn't great shooting, but he just doesn't get into the offense at all. When you're looking at the Golden State Warriors, just thinking back to when Steph Curry was out and how they were a very average team. They were a beatable team because they couldn't get into the same offense. And when Steph Curry came back, they're the Warriors again. They're not the Warriors without Steph Curry. But without Kevin Durant, they look the same, if not even better, because they can get into their team ball. The Warriors are a team. They play team ball. Kevin Durant just wants to go out there and play ISO ball the whole time. He'll get it in the post or take someone off a dribble. And don't get me wrong, he's probably the best in the NBA at doing that. But that's not the way to do it. Well, besides James Harden, actually.
So would you agree with the statement that the Warriors didn't need Kevin Durant. They just needed him to not be on the Thunder.
They didn't even need him to not be on the Thunder.
Just going back to talking about the ISO play that the Rockets ran a lot. Only 12 of their baskets came off assists. Not really massive numbers considering one player could get that on a given night.
Yeah, this is a team that's shown over and over again they're capable of getting 30 assists, near 40 assists on a given night, which is outrageous. But, you know, as the playoffs come, you might focus in more on your superstars, trying to get them to get easy buckets so you can focus more on defense and stopping the other team. That could definitely be a factor into, you know, why they get less assists. They might be going more ISO for Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and trying to save the energy of a guy like Draymond Green, who otherwise might have to be out on the perimeter setting screens, picking rolls for guys like Curry and Durant.
Talking about players getting baskets, one player we thought when he signed for the Rockets that the playoffs would be when he'd come into his element. I'm pretty sure he hasn't played at all this series, and it's Joe Johnson. Now, look, we never expected Joe Johnson to be putting up a 30-point triple-double every night or anything, but 0 minutes in 5 games when he was brought in specifically for the playoffs. You kind of wonder why'd they bother.
Get him a ring.
Yeah, well, when they're only playing 7 players, you know, it's hard to fit into the rotation. The Rockets have their 7-man rotation. They're not even playing the likes of Nene, Ryan Anderson, Tariq Black, Joe Johnson, as you mentioned, Lukumba Mute. Some of the guys who've been playing all regular season, all year long, just not playing in the playoffs. The only 2 guys they're bringing off the bench is Eric Gordon and Gerald Green. Eric Gordon, who's 36 minutes last night. They're starters minutes, but coming off the bench. They just like to play that small ball team. There's not really a place in there for Joe Johnson. He's an ISO scorer, but they don't need another ISO scorer when they have Chris Paul and James Harden out there at all times.
You know, even Eric Gordon can hit a clutch shot for you. I don't know why you give it to Joe Johnson, even though he does have that reputation as a very clutch player. You still have your two stars and one of the best bench players in the NBA with hands down. I don't know why you'd really give the ball to Joe Johnson over guys like that. Maybe they're just trying to get him a ring.
And at his age, he's slowing down. He could be a bit of a defensive liability as well, and that's definitely not what you want, especially going up against the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. Okay,
so that is about it from the Western Conference. So we will head over to the Eastern Conference, and on Wednesday night, the Boston Celtics defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 96-83. That is 13 points between the two teams. Game 6 to be played in Cleveland, but just briefly looking at the box score for the Boston Celtics, brilliant games all around, as we always expect. You know, team performances have won games for Boston, but Jason Tatum with 24 and 7, Al Horford 15-12 double-double, Jaylen Brown 17 points, Marcus Morris 13, Marcus Smart also with 13. They're all really chipping in again, and that's what we've seen when Boston have been winning their games. They've been unstoppable at home, and it's all because they work well as a team unit.
Yeah, I think there's one kind of statement I read on the internet I completely agreed with regarding this whole kind of thing. They said, you know, role players is what the Celtics are composed of these days, really, since, you know, Hayward and Kyrie Irving went down. And role players absolutely thrive at home. They love the screaming of the crowd. They love that kind of thing. It helps them thrive. But on the road is when you need your guys like Kyrie Irving. That's when the role players struggle. I think that's definitely been the trend for the Celtics this year. You know, all their guys stepped up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Marcus Smart, Marcus Morris, both had 13 points each. Jaylen Brown at 17. Al Horford did his thing with 15 and 12. Like you mentioned, Jason Tatum might have had his best game in the playoffs in Game 5 with 24 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and on the defensive side he had 4 steals and 2 blocks. Absolutely amazing game all around. He's my rookie of the playoffs this year and is definitely one of the best rookies the playoffs have ever seen. You know, if they make the finals, it's looking pretty likely that he will be the top scoring rookie that the playoffs have ever seen. Absolutely amazing game, and it was great to see how they could still beat the Cavs despite shooting worse from the field. They won the game with the free throw line, really, shooting 91% to 63% to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I think this is the first time I think I've ever seen a team make LeBron James tired. He was on the bench not looking too pleased at himself or the rest of the Cavaliers. He had a very average night with 26, 10, 5, a steal, shooting 50% from the field. Pretty poor, 17% from downtown, but you can never expect LeBron James to be Steph Curry from behind the arc. But yet again, the other Cavaliers, the supporting cast of LeBron James, just have not shown up in Boston whatsoever. No one besides Kevin Love even being able to muster up double-digit points. Kevin Love with 14, 7 rebounds on 46% and 29 from 3. Like 14 points from your second best player. Your
Borderline All-NBA. Come on.
You need better than that. 7 points from your point guard, 1 point from your starting centre, and 2 points from your starting 2 guard, who shot 17% and 0 for 4 from downtown, is like nowhere near good enough. There's no excuse for that whatsoever. You've got to just go out there and make shots, get it done. This is the playoffs where it matters most. Going down 3-2, forcing it to go. If the Cavs have any chance, it's going to have to go to Game 7 in Boston, where the Celtics have been magnificent at home in Game 7s in recent history, and it's going to be hard for them to slip up like that. It's going to be very hard now for the Cavs to come back 3-2 down, win on their home floor, which I think they will do with relative ease. The last time LeBron James was down 3-2 to the Boston Celtics, he arguably had the best game of his career in the playoffs for the Miami Heat. So Game 6, but then Game 7 is going to be difficult, which I think we can all agree it's going to come down to Game 7. LeBron James is formidably known for being unbelievable in Game 7, but then again, so are the Boston Celtics, and they haven't lost a game at home yet, so something's got to give.
Yeah, it must be scary from a Cleveland perspective, or at least a LeBron fan perspective, that for the first time in any conference matchup in God knows how many years, they're no longer in the driving seat. You'd have to say, look, you can say whatever you want about Boston, but they're the favourites in this series now, no question.
Yeah, the tides have turned, definitely. They've gone up 3-2. With the way this playoffs have gone, it's looking likely they're going to win in 7, and that'll be a scary thing for LeBron James fanboys to accept, to be honest with you. It'll be, I think he's gone definitely if they lose.
But it just goes to show the Rockets, the Western Conference 1 seed against the Golden State Warriors 3 seed, is probably the upset so far. And the same can be said in the Eastern Conference, where the Celtics are the 2 seed and they're leading the 4 seed Cavaliers 3-2, and it's an upset as well. When has this ever happened? Like that the two teams that are on paper supposed to win is both an upset. Not supposed to happen at all. But
although, to be fair, I think the difference maybe between the two series is that home court advantage has meant much more in the Eastern Conference than it has in the West. Both teams have won have both won away in the Western Conference Finals, whereas it's Boston winning at home and losing away here. And I think that's probably so important. And going into the finals, had Boston only won a handful more games, they could have had home advantage. Should they get there, which is, I suppose, for them it'd be a bit unfortunate, but they're still an amazing outfit, and I think they've really been the surprise package of the playoffs without a doubt.
Definitely, the Celtics have nothing to lose, even if they blow this, losing if they blow this and losing 7.
Well, Jesus, it'd really be a surprise if they lost in 6.
Like, at the end of the day, I don't think they care if they lose in 7. Obviously, they're going to strive to win this series, and then the finals, if they make it, that goes without question, but they've overachieved. There's no question about that. No one would have expected anything like this. So, even if they lose this series in 7, there's no shame in that. Your team's full of young players, full of, players people don't think are at the level that they actually are, and there's no shame in losing in 7 to the Cavs, even though it's not going to happen. It's just the finals where you're looking at, you make the finals without your 2 All-Stars. Even if you lose, you're looking at next year like, yeah, we're going to have a pretty good chance at winning the NBA championship, no matter who we go up against.
And that must be that'll definitely be some sort of deciding factor in where LeBron James goes in the summer, Alex.
Yeah, I tell you one thing, he's not going to Boston. There's I don't know, it's always difficult to tell what LeBron James what he's thinking. But at the minute, looking around, there's only a handful of teams that probably the possibility. Obviously, Philadelphia has been talked about a lot. Even going to Philadelphia, I don't think it would be a breeze for Philadelphia to get past this Boston team. No matter where LeBron goes, whether it be in the East Conference or the Western Conference, he's not going to have it, I don't think, too easy. Well, unless he goes to the Golden State Warriors.
No.
Nah. So looking forward to the rest of the series, we have said Boston are now the favourites, but that doesn't mean Cleveland can't win, Alex.
No, I do think LeBron James might put up 40-odd in Game 6, and then probably come out and do the same thing in Game 7 and take a slender win in Game 7. And then get swept in the finals because he'd be so tired.
No.
Probably.
No. They would get swept, maybe, if they made the finals. I could definitely see LeBron taking a game, but, that's assuming he makes the finals. We all know that's not going to happen with how the Celtics played this series. I said before the series started it'd be Celtics in 7. And I've predicted almost all 3 of the Celtics series so far. So I don't know why you're going against me.
I think the only thing you've gotten wrong is the amount of games in the series against the Sixers. Yeah,
I said sweep and you laughed at me, and they nearly swept.
It was a gentleman
because you didn't know what else. He was like, the exact words was what? Sweep. Well, I don't know. Anything could happen in this series. So Celtics in 4.
Nearly happened though.
Yeah.
It was almost as wild as the Pelicans.
Hey, they make the finals. I'm calling a sweep as well. So.
Oh man.
Put your money on now. Instead of broke the news right here.
I feel like in a couple of months' time we could be waving goodbye to Killian and he'll be off to ESPN.
Exactly.
You won't forget us
Colin
though.
Cowherd's seat.
He's on Fox.
I don't know. I don't pay attention.
He shouldn't be on anything.
Yeah, I love that.
That was the transition I was looking
Perfect transition. We're so Colin Cowherd. The other day he came out with what he called his top 10 players in the league right now, and it was a bit. Guys, what would you say was the correct word to describe this list from Colin Cowherd?
AIDS.
So I'd just like to read out the list. At first is LeBron James, fair enough. Second, Kevin Durant. Third, Anthony Davis. Then Steph Curry.
Here's where we get a little bit off.
The 5th best player in the league is Philadelphia 76ers, Ben Simmons. That means in 6th place is presumable MVP James Harden. 7th place, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
And Teto, actually.
8th is Kawhi Leonard. 9th is Kyrie Irving. And 10th, some debate here, Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors.
Which means some debate.
And it just one more thing he said about Klay Thompson during this was he said Klay Thompson is prime Dwayne Wade, but 3.5 inches taller and a better shooter. I don't think he could have been more wrong if he tried. Alex, I think you can agree as a Heat fan.
As a die-hard Dwayne Wade fan, you tell me you put Klay Thompson instead of Dwayne Wade, 2006 Miami Heat with Shaquille O'Neal. You tell me that Klay Thompson is leading his team to an NBA championship.
Obviously.
I might slap you in the face and call you crazy. But they're not the same player whatsoever. I mean, Klay Thompson is a catch-and-shoot guy. For the most part, can't create his own shot at all. The only he might take it off a dribble, post up into a fadeaway. That's all he has. He has no crossover, no kind of get to the rim, limited athleticism. He's a good defender, but he doesn't have that kind of quickness, the flash. He's not Dwayne Wade, and he never will be. That's all I have to say.
I don't think there could be 2 players who are so different compared
at the same position.
I don't think they could be any more different. As Alex said, Dwayne Wade was an athletic freak of a player in his prime with next to no 3-point jump shot. And Klay Thompson, on the other hand, is an absolute freak of a shooter with limited athleticism. I don't see the comparison. You say maybe they're both pretty decent defenders. Maybe Klay Thompson could be better. He has the height advantage over Dwayne Wade at least. But in terms of that, come on.
The only way I can kind of see it at all, if he specifically says Klay Thompson is similar to Dwayne Wade in the Big Three era as a kind of complementing two guard. But that's not what he said. He said Klay Thompson is Dwayne Wade, but 3.5 inches taller and a better shooter. Does he mean Dwayne Wade right now? I mean, come on. Come on.
So there are plenty of debatable decisions across the board, except number one, LeBron James. But I think, look, obviously the big one is Ben Simmons at number 5. Presumable MVP, James Harden, 6th. And last year's MVP, Russell Westbrook, not even in the top 10.
I think James Harden number 6 isn't too crazy. Obviously, having it under Ben Simmons is outrageous.
Oh, in comparison to the Ben Simmons decision, it's genius.
I love how Ben Simmons is the fifth best player in the NBA.
And may not even win Rookie of the Year.
And many people might not consider him the best player on his own team.
Yeah, true, I don't know.
When his teammate isn't even on the list.
Like, it's just stupid. I don't get it.
Ben Simmons is a great leader. And if you showed me this list in 5 years' time, 5, even 2, 3, next year even, Ben Simmons could well be the 5th best player. But as of what we saw this year, Ben Simmons is not the 5th best player in the NBA.
Like, a top 5 player in the NBA does not drop 1 point in a playoff game. Oh, come on.
I don't know if Ben Simmons, what is he, top 20 maybe?
Oh yeah, he's definitely top 25.
At least 30, 25.
He's 25-ish.
But just thinking of some guys that would no doubt go in over Ben Simmons.
Westbrook?
We'll all try and name a few here.
Just even his point guards, we'll start.
Westbrook, Lillard, Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, even though he's 9th.
Terry Rozier.
I mean, Goran Dragic was an all-star and Ben Simmons wasn't. But even guys like DeMar DeRozan, nowhere to be seen. Like, hang on, still thinking. There's just so many guys that just can go in instead of Ben Simmons.
And this is only as backwards people as well.
Oladipo, I'd rather have Oladipo and Ben Simmons
right now. Yeah.
For this year, Oladipo was a better player. That's why Oladipo was third team All-NBA and Ben Simmons was nowhere in sight.
That's why Oladipo was an all-star.
And Ben Simmons was not. That's why Oladipo...
Oh.
He's not in the top 10, but is a much better player than Ben Simmons right now.
True. One player I would also like to add now, he has been injured for part of the season, but then again he put Kawhi 8th, who barely played at all, is DeMarcus Cousins. He's presumably the best centre in the league, and he isn't in the top 10 at all.
I tell you one thing, he's better than Ben Simmons, that's for sure. He's better than Klay Thompson.
Even just not picking on those two, there are players there that he is better than. I think if he was... Kawhi Leonard is 8th in this list. If we're just presuming everyone is healthy, he's probably 2nd, definitely 3rd, in my opinion.
He's 2nd, I think. We'd all agree he's 2nd.
Because you do have James Harden, Kevin Durant, but I just think all around Kawhi is the 2nd best player in the league.
I think the only one here that's not debatable is LeBron James, number 1.
Yeah, like you could say...
I think Giannis at 7th is a fair pick. I think that's fair enough. I don't think you put him much higher or much lower.
Yeah, you could debate a guy like Kyrie Irving over Giannis, but
I don't think so.
It's definitely debatable.
Oh, it's debatable, all right, but like I still think Giannis is better than Kyrie.
Yeah,
or at least he's more valuable, more dominant.
Even still, you could say Curry better than Davis. You could even say Davis over Durant.
Maybe.
You could say Curry over Durant.
Yeah. Those top 3 are very interchangeable.
If this was 3 years ago, you'd put Curry over LeBron James.
Most definitely.
Yeah. It's just... What was he thinking? Honest to God.
Yeah, I think someone on the set might have slipped something into Colin Cowherd's drink just before the programme, and because watching the show, he comes on a bit of a rant all of a sudden. You know, he doesn't talk to anyone because presumably he has no friends. He does the show by himself. I can see why. I wasn't finished. He does the show by himself, and he just, he needed some more views. He couldn't whiten his teeth anymore, couldn't put on any more makeup, so he just went wild.
Wow.
Did you not see him? He wears makeup.
They all do. It's called TV, Alex.
Yeah, but you can
just because we don't have a camera on
What's
it.
the problem with that, Alex?
You can see it glowing off him. At least with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, they look normal. He just looks like a freak.
And actually, he does not do the show by himself. There's a woman in the studio with him whose name I can't remember, and did rightly point out that Russell Westbrook should have been on the list. But
he sits at a desk by himself, and the camera is fixated on him just there like this.
And then he looks
all
at
the
the
time.
other camera that is not in use. Or he's looking at something anyway, but it's not the camera that's in front of him.
Honestly, I'll never understand how some people are analysts.
Well,
Wait. Quickly. Colin Cowherd or Skip Bayless?
Skip Bayless is funnier.
well, you see, Skip Bayless just talks with his heart, whereas Colin Cowherd is
talks
just
with his
genuine.
arse.
Yeah, he is just genuinely mentally unwell. But speaking of, I suppose, not mentally unwell, but top NBA players, the All NBA teams came out this week. So I will start with the All NBA first team. It was LeBron James, James Harden, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, and Kevin Durant. I suppose 4 of those 5 players fairly okay, but there's been a lot of debate over whether or not Damian Lillard should have been in that team. So I'll start with you, Colleen. Do you think he should have been All NBA first team?
It is a very debatable topic. I think almost everyone I've seen on social media is saying Westbrook should have made it over him, but I think most of that is just playoffs kind of in the back of their head. Even if they're trying not to think about it, it's definitely there. We all know Lillard was very bad in the playoffs. He did next to nothing against the Pelicans. You know, Westbrook, he didn't win his series, but he put up good numbers. He played well, whether or not you think it was for the better of his team. I'd be inclined to take Lillard just because of his team's success in the regular season over Westbrook's, but, you know, I'm not too bothered. Either way, I'm like, yeah, fine. You know, Westbrook averaged a triple-double. People underestimate that. And Lillard was just great all year long and really picked up his game after the All-Star game. But I'll say Westbrook because I don't like how Lillard whines about not getting awards.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a close one. I think you flip a coin for it almost. Both of them are so deserving of first team award. But there are only 2 guard spots, which kind of goes back to the debate. Should it just be the best 15 players in the league for the year? Many people kind of bringing that up. You know, just get rid of the positions. Start like kind of what they're starting to do with the All-Star game. But yeah, as I said, both of them are so deserving of it. But Westbrook, I can't understand how people are just completely regarding Westbrook. The people who say, yeah, Westbrook was great, he averaged triple-double, but I think Lillard, just because this, and this or whatever, are fine. But the people who, like, were watching ESPN, as we said, I just said to the lads here earlier before we started recording, and the dude on ESPN says, yeah, Westbrook averaged a triple-double, I don't particularly care. This was a guy who voted for the All-NBA teams, yet he was the MVP last year simply for the fact that he had averaged a triple-double. He was the 6th seed, but he was the MVP, but now he can't even make the All-NBA first team. So it's just people like that.
And he can't even make Colin Cowherd's top 10.
It's really going downhill for Westbrook this year. I mean, he should retire right now. He's just leave for Golden State again.
No, it's all media
James.
hype. When you have the media on your side, you're gonna be up for good things. Lillard definitely had the media on his side this year. Same for James Harden, which is why he will likely win MVP. You know, Lillard had the media. He had all the hype on him. You know, especially after All-Star break, he was absolutely incredible. I think that's what really projected him to be All-NBA first team. But I think the whole Lillard-Westbrook thing is just another reason why they should always announce awards and teams before the playoffs start. Maybe have...
Or at least vote for them.
At least vote. Yeah, to an extent. Or at least announce them like after the first round. Because half the people who say Westbrook deserved over Lillard wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't for the playoffs. I'm 100% agree with that.
Look, I can see it from both sides of the argument, but for me, what I see is that Lillard, he was good before the All-Star break, but he was excellent after. Westbrook was amazing all season long, and that's why I would have him. But then again, he's still in he's in the second team. He's in the second team, yeah. So like it's not all bad being in the second team,
Still all NBA second team, still a good accolade to have on your resume as you push towards possibly a Hall of Fame career, which I think we definitely agree. Westbrook's making the Hall of Fame without a shadow of a doubt, first ballot. I don't think it's not going to be much of a difference whether he met first team or second team this year. It's kind of just more of a boost on Lillard's accolade or on his resume. He might be looking towards making the Hall of Fame, while Westbrook's pretty much guaranteed at this point.
With
the average triple
all Lillard has gotten through, I think he definitely deserved an all first team. He's received little to no appreciation for what he's done in the league over the last number of years when he's been just phenomenal. But because like Curry and Westbrook, guys that are just, once in a lifetime type of guys, he's kind of been overshadowed because he's a good shooter, but he's not Curry. He's athletic, but he's not Westbrook. He's a kind of a little bit of everyone, but he's still a fantastic player, but just constantly gets overlooked for awards, for everything.
Yeah, and I think that's just a kind of product of how strong the point guard position is in the NBA these days. We're absolutely spoiled for point guards.
And the fact that he's playing in the Western Conference doesn't help either. Like, he'd be a surefire all-star if he were in the Eastern Conference.
Speaking of which conference he's in, breaking news, Damian Lillard requests meeting with Blazers owner Paul Allen. Per John Can's Anobuft.
Nice.
I don't know how... I didn't see the name, so I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to go on a limb and say it's incorrect.
It's
brilliant.
Go on, first try.
YOLO it.
I don't know if there's just like something BT or if it's BT.
That's definitely an abbreviation at the end. I think the name is just John Canzano.
But
John Canzano Buffed.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what it is.
But just briefly, we'll talk about the second and third teams, and we'll go back to the all-rookie team in a moment. Second team was Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Giannis, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Joel Embiid. Third team, Steph Curry, Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, and Karl Anthony Towns. Are there any maybe snubs?
I'm confused, Oisin. Where's Kyrie Irving?
That was my question exactly. Now look, I think Steph Curry is obviously better than Kyrie Irving, but Curry was missing for half the season.
He played 51
but
games.
Kyrie was as well.
He played 51 games to Kyrie Irving 60. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, like I suppose when you put it like that, it's not a huge difference, but I still feel like maybe Kyrie could have been in that team instead of Steph Curry.
Yeah,
considering maybe the Warriors won't make the finals and the Celtics will.
It's definitely just a media thing. With these superstar, big name players like Curry, Curry's just a lock for all NBA. It doesn't matter if he's a decent season or whatever. He's going to be voted in because of what he's done in the past and who he is. He's Steph Curry. He's going to get voted in. Much like Kevin Durant with the first team. Giannis arguably had a better season on a far worse team, and alongside Durant missing games, I think Durant played about 70 games where Giannis played the majority. And Stephen Jackson brought up the argument that if you swap them around, would there be any difference? I don't think there'd be any difference at all, and the Warriors might even get better with Giannis than Kevin Durant. But like that as well, Kevin Durant, he's a lock for first team just because he's Kevin Durant. He is who he is. He's just the consensus second best player in the league. That means he's has to be first team All NBA. I don't know if these voters kind of sit down and actually take a look at these things, decide who is actually worthy, and who's just a big name that people think he should be there.
One player who is missing from these teams is Colin Cowherd's fifth best player in the league, Ben Simmons. However, he is in the all-rookie team. The all-rookie team, all-rookie first team, is Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Kyle Kuzma, and Lauri Markkanen. Now, the problem with the all-rookie first team is not who's on it, but the fact that Jason Tatum only got 99 out of 100 first-team votes.
Come on.
I think people are kind of overreacting to this a little bit.
Yeah, no
it's
one cares.
one
at the end
vote.
of the day.
It's one vote.
It's one
from
vote.
some diehard Phoenix fan who just wanted to put Josh Jackson first team because he just, Josh Jackson's his guy. He doesn't like Jason Tatum. So, let me put Josh Jackson in there. That's what happened.
See, he's jealous that
Just chill.
he got
Chill
Josh
the
Jackson and we got Jason Tatum. It's like, I would have liked to see him go unanimous first team, but at the end of the day, no one cares.
Oh, nobody. No, look, in a couple of years' time, nobody is going to remember. Nobody is going to care. But it does add a bit of comedic value.
It doesn't make a difference because in a couple of years' time, no one will know who Jason Tatum is anyway.
What do you mean? 20 years
And who are
time,
you?
He's going for the Hall of Fame.
Pranked.
10 All-Star appearances. No one's going to mention his unanimous all-rookie first-team selection.
But he wasn't unanimous.
Yeah, but if
Only
he was-
Donovan Mitchell and not a rookie Ben Simmons made unanimous.
He
I
has
thought it was meant to be a
99.
rookie team.
Yeah. Could be like the rising stage, all rookie and
Yeah,
sophomores.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that's
Jason Tatum has 99 problems and his second team votes as one.
Whoa.
Right.
Can't do that joke again.
Dude, we just stole it from Ben Simmons.
And
Copyright
his
Alex
points
Evans,
is one.
2018.
Okay, so finally, we are going to discuss. We're going to go back to the NBA draft that takes place in just under a month's time, and now we're going to talk about Mohamed Bamba. He is a big man, power forward / center.
He's not that big.
He's a big man.
He's 6'11", 225 pounds.
That
He is
takes
from
me five.
Harlem, New York. He went to Texas for a year. He wears the number 4 jersey, and he
That was important, wasn't it?
I'll pick him number one. Pick him number one. The
um,
last great that wore number 4 must have been.
Isaiah Thomas.
midget 4.
I said the last great player. Whoa.
He's out of the lottery now.
So he averaged 12.9 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, and half an assist. So I'll start with you, Alex. What do you make of Mo Bamba?
I definitely think he's potential to be one of the better players in this draft. I think everyone kind of has that potential to just be an absolute monster. He's 7 foot, 225 pounds, and measured the combine with the biggest wingspan ever at the NBA combine with over an 8 foot wingspan. I mean, he can just stick his arms out and guard from 3-point line to 3-point line almost. If that's not a scary prospect, once he develops, the NBA brain, the NBA smarts, his physical body already just can't get much better. He's already built, he's real muscly. He, 8 foot wingspan, what else do you want? He can block a shot from the 3-point line almost. He's very athletic as well. I can just imagine wherever he goes, just if you throw it up anywhere near the basket, Mo Bamba will go up and finish the lob. His defense is already pretty good. Well, you'd expect it to be with how big he is, but that can improve as well. He has potential offensively. There was the video going around of him nailing 3-pointers just consecutively, something LiAngelo Ball has done also recently. Wow. But if Mo Bamba can have a 3-point shot, who's gonna guard 7 foot, 8 foot wingspan 3-point shot?
Chris Paul?
His 3-point shot, he can only drop it in the basket from the 3-point line. He's so long.
Not really. I think you're arresting
come on.
him there. But he's an absolutely amazing prospect altogether. But, he's completely long. We don't have to talk about that. You mentioned unreal wingspan. He's nearly 7 foot tall. If he can fill out his body a bit, he'll be an absolute monster. One stat you didn't mention, along with his 13 points, 10.5 rebounds per game, he averaged 3.7 blocks per game in college. Second in the entire NCAA, only behind a guy that no one's ever heard of. I don't know what league he plays in. I think it's pretty bad. But that's a crazy stat. It shows how much defensive potential he has when it comes to the NBA ball. He's very efficient at scorer as well. He shot 53% from the field, which can be expected for someone so as big as him. He only shot 68% from the free throw line, but it's not bad for someone so big and lanky as him. And he did shoot 28% from 3, which isn't great, but shows that he can do it, and it is a part of his game that, a few off seasons of work and he will be there as a proper 3-point threat, which is scary for a guy as big as Mo Bamba is. In terms of, where he might get drafted, the lottery's already been done. We know the kind of order. I think he'll be drafted anywhere from 5 to 7, going to the Dallas Mavericks, Orlando Magic, or Chicago Bulls. The Mavs and Bulls are in desperate need of a center. I think the Magic are just looking for that guy who can become a proper superstar. And Mo Bamba, he's definitely the most raw player in this draft, I think, or of the top players in this draft. But I definitely think he has the potential to be one of the best players in the NBA one day.
I'm just going to cite NBADraft.net and their mock draft now. It's not really good. They have Luka Doncic at 5, but they have Mo Bamba at 4 going to Memphis. But look, Mo Bamba could he's not going to go top 3 anyway.
No.
We know that much.
Probably not 4.
Probably not. But beyond that, it's 5 to 7 is probably accurate. I don't see him sliding past that.
Yeah, I don't think
bar
the Bulls
any
would
sort
ever.
of shock.
I don't think the Bulls would ever skip on Mo Bamba. He fits their team so perfectly. He's so perfect to slide in right beside Lauri Markkanen, the big lanky guy who can protect the rim, slide him into the 3-point threat. I think it'd make a great frontcourt duo for them. I think it's just whether or not Dallas or Orlando would take him instead, or whether they'd risk Michael Porter Jr. or someone like that.
Yeah, so I suppose that's about it for today's episode. We will not be on next Wednesday, as myself and Killian will be enjoying the sun in Madrid. Might see a bit of Luka Doncic over there, maybe.
I'll be looking for a jersey, I'll tell you that much.
So thanks to CRC for the studio. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe too on YouTube. We are Team Eurostep on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, so check out all of our social media. And as always, if you enjoy our content, please support us on Patreon. As little as €1 a month would help immensely. So until this time next week, it's going to be a goodbye from Gillian, a goodbye from Alex,
Yeah.
and a goodbye from me. Until next time, keep grinding.